prayer of all mothers, and I think that's a prayer of protection. We want God to protect our children. We want God to protect them from physical, emotional, and spiritual hurts. Regardless of the age of our children, we want God to protect them in such a way that if we're not there, or if we could put them in a protective bubble and just kind of throw them into the world, that they'd be okay. Because the world that we live in is really scary. Just watch the news for about 5 minutes. I found an article in the Psych Law Journal. It's dated in 2012, and it takes some data from 2000 to 2012. And the conclusion from the article says the chances of a school shooting taking place in a United States elementary or middle school in any year is 1 in 141,463. So it seems really unlikely that your child or a child that you know might be in a school shooting. But a few months ago in October, the kids and I were in a school shooting at their elementary school. In the daily bulletin, KTLA and ABC websites, they describe the incident like this. It says, 41-year-old Amy Schaefer from Claremont shot her mother, a daycare aide, several times with a pellet gun in the kitchen area of Pepper Tree Elementary School. The school was placed on lockdown. She fled, shot herself, and was arrested about an hour later. In the scary world that we live in, God is faithful in answering our prayers, and He did so that day in so many ways. First was the timing, and God's time is not like our time. That day, I initially had planned on picking up dinner and then picking up the kids, but as I was driving, something, I think God changed my mind. I signed them out of daycare on the computer at 4:20 that day. That lady entered the daycare at 4:20. The shooting took place at 4:23, just minutes afterwards, and the shooter left at 4:25. I was there in time for the shooting, and God made sure I was there. I stood opposite Jaden when the shooting occurred, about the distance from this podium to that one over there, or maybe that towards the exit. Sienna was also in that room, and she was probably the last pew in the church. God put me there so I could be the adult that actually runs out of that daycare with Jaden and about 5 or 6 other students who were closest to the shooting. God also made sure that the office manager was still there too, because this was a Friday, and ordinarily she would have gone at 4 o'clock. And she was the person that called the police to report the shooting. Since the school was on lockdown, so the police could secure the area, the children's parents were present, that was me and the kids, were evacuated first. And those children who parents were not there at the time were not released until much later that evening. That day, God also protected Jaden, because although he was facing the shooting and watched it happen, he didn't see it clearly, because he wasn't wearing his glasses, because I had just picked them up half an hour before that. When he was interviewed by the police, he said that he saw the lady or the shooter use a black stapler to kill a rat in the kitchen. Jaden was saved from really seeing the shooting, and although Sienna was in the room and heard it happen, she was also saved from seeing it. Now this entire time, Matt and Thango were patiently waiting at home, and they had no idea that we were in a shooting, and that the school was on lockdown, and they probably thought we were just picking up dinner. And they were pretty shocked when we finally got home. And instead of staying home, we really wanted to distance ourselves from what happened at the school, and we decided to proceed as planned and go to my sister's house for dinner. But as we leave our house, and we turn the corner, we see the shooter parked 1 house away from ours. And she's sitting there in her truck with the door open. So we immediately drive back to school, inform the police that we've located the shooter. They dispatch and they arrest her. And that was really comforting to know that she was in the custody of police. So God certainly put us in the right place at the right time. And though we were certainly traumatized about what we experienced, God heals all wounds. It's like when our mommy puts a Band-Aid on an owie or kisses a bruise. The kids went to bed that night without nightmares, without fear. They even went to school on Monday without being scared. They went to daycare without being scared. And we are so blessed to be a part of a congregation that also prayed for us, to heal us. The school district offered counseling as necessary, even to myself. And when the daycare teacher who was shot returned to work in February, she was welcomed with open arms from kids and staff. Because God is good all the time, even in the midst of something as scary as a shooting. And He is faithful in answering prayers, especially those of protection. And as I close today, I'd like to read Psalm 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent, for He will command His angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue Him. I will protect Him, for He acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer Him, and I will be with Him in trouble. I will deliver Him and honor Him. With long life, I will satisfy Him and show Him my salvation. Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day. Okay, I'm going to share, actually, my experience with praying with God. God bring me closer to Him throughout all my journey with raising a kid. I remember my mom always told me how she prayed for me all the time. However, I never asked what was the prayer specifically about. Now looking back, I wonder if some of her prayers were unanswered. I can see how my prayers have changed through the course of my daughter's growth and development. I'm sure we all share some of the same worries and concerns. Even before they were born, I prayed that they'll be born healthy, and after they were born, I prayed that they grew up with good health and wisdom. I asked God to lead them in His graceful and loving way. God seems to always answer my prayer, until the time that I became a single mother. Then I prayed for a confirmation whether I had made a best decision for my children, or was the decision for my own sanity only. I pray for strength, encouragement, and continue to pray for my daughter's health, wisdom, and God's guidance. For a long time, I always had doubt in my mind if my decision was best for my children. Maybe I should have given up my career and moved back to Thailand so we can all be family, even without financial security. Then things became more complicated as they developed their own idea and personality. I always thought my daughters would grow up to be mini-me. I had to ask God for help, for more help, how to understand them and how to deal with issues. I used to be the one who had the last word and in control of everything, especially when I had to be in the role of both father and mother. I had to be in control. I was the decision maker. I didn't understand how my own daughter could be so much different than me. I didn't feel that God was answering my prayer at the time. If only God could give me answer and send me some instruction. The frustration and feeling that there's not enough time in this day to do everything that needed to be done. The guilt that I couldn't spend more time with them when most of their friends had both parents and some even had stay-home mom. I always begin my prayer with thanking God for the health, beautiful children I had, and job security. I ask God to protect and bless my children with good health and to guide them in His way. Then I add my request on whatever problem or concerns I have on that particular day. I sometimes cried out of frustration that God didn't seem to give me the answer, give me the obvious answer, or looking back. Maybe I was waiting for the answer I want to hear. Now I realize that God has shown me a different way. Thank God He didn't listen to me. When I got married, I thought God answered my prayer by sending me Somsat to help with fathering and when my family completed. Sounds like a fairy tale, isn't it? Then I discovered that that's not that simple. I had to ask God for a lot more help. So when a man stepped into the house full of teenage girls, and he had no idea how the girls had been brought up, the hormone was kicking in full blown, the good intention became bad conflicts, and I was in the middle of it all. The frustration of not knowing how to solve or de-escalate the conflicts made me doubt every decision I made, whether it was the right one for them. I grew up in a family that's pretty quiet. Me and my sister and brothers, we hardly fight. Well, we fight than a normal kid fight. But when we mad at each other, we just retreat in our own corner. But here, my family dynamic is totally opposite. Everybody wants to have the last word. Everybody has their own opinion and be sure to express it. Nobody knows how to stop and walk away. So I often pray that God would help open our hearts and understand each other. So after I realized that when you welcome a stranger into your home and became part of your family, there got to be a lot of adjustment and understanding that needed to take place. It became quite a journey. It's hard to admit that sometimes we, adults, were wrong. And when you are a man, it's pretty much unheard of. So I, have to be in the middle of that. Through many tearful and yelling matches, my prayer seems unanswered. Discipline must have felt like hatred. That little voices in the back of my head is always tell me what I should do, many times against what I wanted to do at the time. God taught me to approach my many situations with love and begin the reconciliation with the words, I am sorry, and end with I love you. Believe me, when you are upset and angry, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to say I love you. But when I did, it sure made things better. Even though my daughters and I had different ideas and see things different sometimes, I learned to let them go and trust them with that decision. I try to understand their view and I show them mine. I learn to see things through their eyes instead of mine only. God has shown me that He's in charge and I can trust Him to let go. I do not need to be in control of everything. When Bookie went to New York, I pray a lot for her to be able to find a job and doing what she loves to do. I was worried and thought to myself, she had a tough road in front of her. Thank God, she found a place to do internship which led her to get a job at HarperCollins publishing company. Now she gets to do what she loves to do. God really answered my prayer sooner than I expected. And then again, when Bonnie graduated, we also were worried, knowing how tough the job market was. I also pray for her constantly. God answered my prayer again, and Bonnie got a job right after graduation and gets to work with Live Nation Incorporated, where she wants and doing what she likes to do. I am thank God every day for my daughter's life and how they've grown up to be their own individual person. I am so proud of their accomplishment. I pray that God will continue to guide them, bless them, protect them, give them wisdom, and show Him His love every day. And I feel that God really brings me a lot closer to Him by all these problems I have to go through, because I have to rely on Him and by praying to Him every day.